Let's welcome our dear brother, our bunso, Dr. Christopher Gonzaga.
So, well, I was preparing this. I was praying to the Lord, give me the wisdom, kasi minsan I might be speaking a lot of about terms na masyadong technical or medical. So, hopefully I'll be able to expound a little bit on those aspects. So, nag-title tayo nito ng COVID-19 vaccine, to be or not to be. Idea to ni Ate Miriam, para medyo catchy, you know. So, kagaya ng sinabi ni Pastor June, I'm part of the tinatawag nila incident command to help manage the pandemic kasi parami naming kaso earlier on. We were in the hotspot of the whole United States here because of our neighbors, the Navajo Nation. But praise God, we're doing well. We've vaccinated around 8,000 people in our community. It's around 25,000. Which can swell up to 50,000 being in the reservation. We've seen our cases going down. Used to be 2/3 of our hospitals full with COVID patients. Now mga 2 to 3 na lang or 7. So makita nyo talaga yung effects ng vaccine. It's a game changer with this pandemic. And but I will tell you frankly, I was kind of troubled, you know, in a way, because para ako naiyak kanina. I was trying to catch up with my readings kasi napaka-fortunate namin meron kaming kaabot sa amin yung vaccine, you know, yung after so many hard work na we've been waiting for when we had our surge in March, almost 1 year ago. I've seen a lot of people left and right suffering and dying, and so hard. It's a lonely death because hindi ka pwedeng makipag-communicate. Hinihintay namin yung vaccine tapos nandito na siya. So hopefully I can expound more on that with our situation. So ito yung COVID virus, yung nakita niyo yung kanilang structural illustration na meron siyang kaya sa tinawag na SARS coronavirus kasi nakita mo parang crown siya tapos may naka-spike, yung spike proteins na sinasabi nila ito. Yun yung nag-attach dun sa cell. Tinatawag dun ng mga ACE2 receptors na present sa lungs at saka sa brain, sa stomach, elsewhere in the body. Kaya nagkakaroon ka ng symptoms referable to that. Naka-affecto siya ng lungs, kaya yun, nahihirapan ang taong huminga. Ito yung illustration ng actual na first patient na nakita nila. Ito yung mga virus, you know. Pag pinalaki nyo yan, nakita yung mga spikes dyan. Tapos yung virus mismo na sa lining siya ng lungs, inside the lung tissues. Mostly na-overwhelm yung pasyente. Tinatawag din yung acute respiratory distress syndrome. Nagsisecrete ng secretion sa fluid, saka nagkakaproblema ng mostly problem na oxygenation. Kailangan mo talaga ng oxygen. So ano yung clinical features niya para review natin? Para makita natin yung yung mismong how to recognize it at the same time para mabigyan ng tamang pasya yung mga tao what to do. So ang incubation period niya 2 to 14 days. Yun yung pag na-expose kayo sa taong umuubo o kaya yung secretions niya diba, sabi nila 6 feet apart. Pero sometimes after 6 feet nagbe-breakdown yung virus, nagkakaroon siya ng malilit na particles kaya nagiging aerosol. Minsan tumatagal mga 2 oras o even more sa paligid. Kaya kailangan talaga nakamask, you know, mga tao. Tapos kaya ka nakamask para ma-preventahan pag-inhale sa nose, saka sa bibig, saka sa mata. Kaya naka-shield yung mga tao din para to protect them from having the virus get into your system. Tapos ang isa pang nun, importante din yung kamay kasi unconsciously we put our hands to our mouth or to our nose, saka sa eyes. Kaya nag-spread yung virus from there. Yung iba, pag umubo, may-spread yung virus sa mga silya o kahit sa elevator, sa mga building, sa restaurant, sa damit. So kaya nag-i-spread siya. So dati noon, ang symptoms pala nagsimula. I got these slides nung simula nung March. As you can see, a lot of things we didn't know too much about the virus. Ngayon, mas marami na tayong alam. Dati, 3, 4 lang yung symptoms. Ngayon, 13 na yung kanilang ini-screen. So depending on where those ACE2 receptors are located, so sa lungs, so meron kang cough or dyspnea, tapos dyspnea o kaya shortness of breath. Tapos sa stomach, so meron kang nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Tapos pagdating sa brain, meron kang headache. Tapos yung pangamoy at saka yung panglasa nawawala. Connected yun. Minsan pa sabi nila, mas common pa yung nawawala ng panlasa at saka pangamoy kesa fever even, as high as 77%, At saka minsan tumatagal, mga 2 to 6 weeks or more after COVID, yung panlasa at saka pangamoy. Kaya minsan yung iba, kain ng kain, tumataba o kaya tumataas yung blood pressure nila dahil wala silang panlasa. Dagdag sila ng salt kaya tumataas yung blood pressure. Tapos yung iba pang mga like nasal congestion at saka yung fatigue na tawag nila, yung kapaguran. Minsan yung mga basta new onset symptoms ito na dati hindi mo naranasan. Tapos muscle body aches and pains. Yun. So kung magkaroon ka ng symptoms ng bago, especially in this day na kalat yung virus, mag-ingat kasi baka nagsimula ka na magka-COVID. Now, the good news about this disease, hindi lahat nasasalanta kasi out of the 100%, ito yung breakdown. Majority have mild disease, 81%. Kita lang studies sa China na self-limited siya. So siguro iba sa atin nagka-COVID na, nagstay lang sa bahay, para siyang influenza, masakit, fever, ulo, inom lang, minsan Tylenol or biogesic, nawawala din siya eventually. So you just treat them symptomatically. Yung 14%, yun yung tinatawag ng severe disease. Yun ang nangangailangan na sila ng oxygen. Ibig sabihin, yung virus naka-affect na sa baga, tapos saka siya nagkukos na ng secretions, tapos affect mo yung panghinga, and then sometimes more than 50% of the lung involved. Kaya kailangan mo ng oxygen. Yung lungs, we breathe in oxygen, we blow up carbon dioxide. Tapos yung inaapektuhan niya yung halo-halo, yung may secretions, yung iba tinatawag na microthrombi, na-apektuhan yung blood flow. Ergo, nagkakaroon ng problem ng oxygen exchange. Leading to yung hypoxia, yung just, ibig sabihin lang yun, lacking oxygen. Tapos 5% of those, yun yung mga critical na napupunta sa ICU kasi that time talagang kailangan na talaga nila ng high flow oxygen. Naapektuhan na yung kanilang not only lungs, kundi yung kanilang kidney, saka yung brain, at saka yung complications minsan na nag-perform sila ng clots, later on also. Saka in the process of the disease, a virus not necessarily needing bacteria, but later on in the course, napupunta siya sa pneumonia, yun yung bacterial infection. Kasi yung COVID is virus yan. Yung pneumonia like strep, bacteria yun ang ginagawa ng antibiotics o antibacterial. So early on in COVID, virus ka pa lang, tapos later on, nagkakaroon ka ng superimposed infection. Kaya nagkakaroon ka ng kailangan mo na ng antibiotics by that time. Sino yung not predisposed sa mga ganitong disease? So in other words, 81% okay lang, nawawala, tapos on their own. Yung mga severe disease sa critical illness, may mga predisposing factors yung mga nagkakaroon ng komplikasyon. So yun ang gusto kong i-discuss kasi yun na yung focus, yung priority na dapat yung mga bakunahan. Kasi sila yung prone to develop severe illness. So, diagnosis muna. Dati nung nagsimula kami mag-screen, unang kaso namin dito sa Amerika, sa New Mexico, ay galing sa Utah. Tapos bumuwi sa bahay nila, nag-party sa bahay, tapos naapektuhan 100 people right away. Ganun kabilis, yun yung ano nitong difference itong virus na ito, yung ability to spread the infection so quickly. So tapos nagkaroon na ng iba, dati nung galing sa Wuhan, galing sa Hong Kong o Taiwan. So kaya nagkaroon ng ban. Tapos dito na pagdating nung nanggaling sa Washington State, nung unang nag-i-screening kami from Washington State, meron kaming commercial truck driver na dumaan sa amin. Yung unang kaso namin na actually first case hospital ay ano siya, disabled siya pero nagbakasyon siya sa Louisiana. Tapos pagbalik niya sa Gallup, tinawagan siya nung kanyang Uber driver. Nasabi ay, "Sir, may COVID po ako, bantayan niyo baka magka-COVID kayo." True enough. So yun ang unang kaso namin dito sa Gallup, New Mexico. Pero sa ngayon, may tinatawag silang community transmission na. Masyadong malaki yung issue na sabi. Kasi dahil community na, hindi natin alam kung saan nagagaling. Kaya kung nagpunta kayo sa restaurant, sa grocery, pwede mong makuha doon. O kaya yung mga matatanda, okay sila, sa bahay lang sila, pero minsan binibisita ng mga grandkids o kaya tayo, mga nagtatrabaho, minsan pwede natin madala sa bahay without us knowing na carrier para tayo at saka pagdala tayo. Kaya talagang very, very careful tayo. So, tapos sa chest x-ray makita nyo, minsan negative yung chest x-ray, pero pag kinat-scan natin, nakikita yung COVID doon. Naapektuhan yung blood count, tapos yung mga ibang mga markers, ito yung binabantayan namin. Kung meron sila nitong mga markers of poor prognosis, yun ang binabantayan namin kasi eventually yun ang magka-crash o kaya magiging serious. So, a quick illustration lang, ito yung illustration ng coronavirus, ito yung spike protein, ito yung ACE2 inhibitor, ito yung cells, nyari, sa lungs ka, mag-attach siya, tapos papasok siya dito, tapos i-apektuhan na yung sa loob ng cells, tapos i-induce nyo lang gagawa siya ng sarili niyang virus hanggang sa mag-spread, tapos ma-pass on naman sa iba na inubo. So parang RNA virus siya, so ginagamit niya yung ating mechanism sa buong cells natin para gumawa siya ng kanyang virus para kumalat siya eventually. So ito yung ang puntirya ng vaccine na magkakaroon ka ng similar, tinatawag nila antigen o kaya similar chemical na mag-induce yung body mag-produce ka ng spike proteins para yung body mo in its own way na hindi disease ay gagawa ka ng sarili mo antibody para maiwasan itong mangyayari na mag-attach yung cells para hindi ka magkaroon ng actual COVID infection. So ito yung illustration ng una, pag na-expose ka sa virus, punta sa lungs mo, kaya wala ka pang symptoms nung una, usually a couple of days or 5 days prior, bago ka magkaroon ng cough o fever, ay pwede ka na ma-rendered na pre-symptomatic, pwede ka na mag-pass ng virus. Considered ka na infectious yun. Kaya nahirap kasi pag nagka-diagnose sa pamilya, ibig sabihin yung kasambahay mo ay exposed na rin siya. So within 2 to 14 days, babantayan nyo siya kasi baka mag-develop na siya ng disease mismo eventually. Tapos in time, ito yung 0 days simula from ng disease process. After about 3 to 5 days, yun yung time na tinetesting namin sila. Kasi tataas na yung yield to testing. Initially kasi negative yung test, lalo na yung tinatawag ng rapid test. Pero yung RT-PCR na tinatawag nila, it can detect the virus even more earlier. Yung ibang testing ay mas effective pag may symptoms. Kaya lang kung walang symptoms, minsan hindi siya sensitive para ma-pick up. So mayroong moderate illness, tapos later on, ang average mga nakita 11 to 10 days, saka sila pumupunta sa severe illness sa ICU. Kaya importante yung first 5 days. Doon na pumapasok yung mga treatment, na dapat maagapan kaagad to prevent it from getting worse. Kagaya ng monoclonal antibody na receive ng ating ex-president, meron kami binibigay sa ganun. First 10 days ng symptoms o kaya mga pero binibigay ito sa mga high risk na papakita ko sa inyo later. Tapos yung iba after 10-14 days, kaya yung unang kaso namin mga siguro 28 days sa hospital. Pero praise God, nakalakad siya kasama nung kanyang asawa na pareha silang Native American, katutubo. At they survived the virus. Pero it was pretty, intense. Kaya kailangan yung meron kang ICU at saka meron taong nagbabantay at saka yung ginagawa sa treatment. Saka ganun. Kaya lang kung ang daming mga taong mga kailangang alagaan, talagang na-overwhelm yung health system. Kaya ganun. Tapos later on, ito na magpo-produce ng antibody. So in the process of the disease, yun na yung may convalescent plasma na binibigay. So after 2 weeks ng na pag COVID ka o 21 days, pwede ka mag-donate ng blood para gawin nilang for antibody para ibigay sa ibang tao. Although yung treatment na ito hindi masyadong naging productive gaano. Pero nakita nila ngayon yung monoclonal antibody was formulated from a patient and was able to mass reproduce, was able to prevent people from getting sick, going to the hospital or being admitted. So yun na yung mga advancement of disease. Tapos, although hindi siya absolute cure, yung steroids ngayon yung bago nakita nila earlier on na those needing oxygen are able to respond to it. Kasi part ng disease process ay yung sobrang inflammation sa body nagpo-produce. Yun ang tinatawag nilang cytokine storm. Pag dumating ka doon, mahirap ma-reverse yung process. Although kung naagahan siya ng steroids o naagahan siya ng tinatawag na antiviral na remdesivir, although it's not a cure but it decreases the length of stay in the hospital, may chance sila mag-survive. Now, so we'll go to the risk. Ito, earlier on in the disease process, nag-produce ang China ng study. Nakita nila kung ano yung mga risk na mga pasyente na chances of survival ay napakababa. So ito yung part ng study nun. Una yung age, as you grow older, like 65 to 74, may tinatawag silang hazard ratio na chances of you dying or getting complications will be much higher than those less than 65 years old. As you grow older, madadagdagan ka by 7 or 8%. Yung 80 and above ay kakaroon siya ng 14% chance of getting more disease. And earlier on, they computed this what you call case fatality ratio, around 3%. So kung may age ka, dadagdag mo siya ng another 4%. So tumataas yung risk mo of getting more of the disease. Tapos so on and so forth. Other risk factors na nakita nila, not other than age, those with hypertension or alta pressure, those who have previous heart problem, may lung problems, COPD, yung mga smoker dati, tapos diabetes, obesity, one of the highest risk yung obesity kasi pag na-apekto yung lungs mo, nahihirapan huminga. Saka at the same time, nagkakaroon sila ng chance na, kasi hindi sila masyadong makakalakad, yung tendency mag-develop ng blood clot na doon. Saka ito yung questions tungkol sa malignancy. Kaya ito yung higher risk. Yung pag-breakdown natin ito yung nakita nila. So kung yung tinatawag na case fatality rate around 3.1%, magdadagdag ka ngayon kung meron kang cancer, dagdag sa 3, 5.6. Tapos may alta pressure ka, dagdag ka another 6%. Ito yung mga chronic lung disease, another 6%, so and so forth. Kaya sa isang tao, nagkaroon siya ng maraming, so mataas talaga yung risk. Kaya dapat sila talagang dapat mabakunahan saka maalagaan ng gusto. Dahil pag nagka-COVID sila, chances are sila yung hindi yung mild disease na 81%, baka mapunta sila doon sa severe disease na 14% o kaya critical disease na 5%. So yun ang mga tinatawag talagang high risk. So sino yung ina-admit pag gano'n dahil nga 'di ba may mild disease. So nagkakaroon kami ng mga screening, kunyari kung hindi nyo kailangang oxygen, saka may support kayo, tapos maalagaan sa bahay, ayun napapawi sila at saka tinatawagan, pina-follow up na lang. Pag dumating sa severe disease, yun na yung nangangailangan ng oxygen. Kailangan mag-provide ng oxygen, kaya lang hindi sila pwedeng sa bahay, kailangan kang mag-order. Tapos ito na yung mga kailangan ng gamutan. Una yung steroids na tinatawag, which usually may studies na they really have chance of recovering kung maaga silang masimulan. At saka kung mas simulan sila ibang gamot kagaya ng mga remdesivir, gano'n. At saka yung support, a lot of support. Tapos babantayan sila kung kailangan nilang oxygen, we're giving high flow oxygen now. Ibig sabihin, talagang ifa-flood mo lang yung pasyente na oxygen hanggang sa ma-recover siya. So hindi lang 10, umabot kami ng 40, minsan 70 liters of oxygen. Minsan nga nagkaroon kami ng fear kasi baka maubusan kami ng oxygen sa hospital, So I often get a chance to call our plant operations to make sure meron kaming supply parati. So dati noon, ini-intubate earlier yung patient, ngayon hindi na, pinapadapa namin sila para mag-expand yung baga kung kaya ng pasyente. Tapos kung hindi na kaya talaga, saka na tinutubo. Dati early intubation, ngayon hindi na. Ito yung mga phases ng disease. Gusto ko lang mapakita sa inyo, ito yung by the time nagkaroon kayo ng cytokine storm, maraming mga komplikasyon, hindi na lang sa lungs, kundi sa heart na rin, saka yung kidney failure, saka yung na-overwhelm talaga yung pasyente pag ano. So ito yung mga current na treatments na hindi ko na i-discuss nga sa inyo. Now, so in order to prevent that, nung pinag-uusapan namin to, umpisa, talagang how do you prevent it from happening in the first place? So doon na papasok itong vaccine. So the vaccine is considered a drug, and it's at different platforms. Gaya ng vaccine na binibigay sa influenza, sa flu, na minsan ginagawa natin sa egg, tapos gagawa tayo ng killed virus, para ibigay sa pasyente para mag-develop tayo ng antibodies against it. So when the real thing comes, yun ang lalabanan niya. So, and you have those with different platforms na tinatawag nila sa vaccine. And in time, merong tinatawag na how to go about making it safe, i-discuss ko yung proseso sa paggagawa ng vaccine. Ito na yun. So, may tinatawag silang research and more study na kailangan ginagawin. So, part of, pwede siya part ng virus o kaya pwede siyang gaya ng messenger RNA, nakita nila, they got it from the blueprint from China na pinablish nila doon. At kinuha yung part na yun para gawing i-induce yun. Pero hindi siya active virus, kaya hindi siya tinatawag na mag-induce ng viral illness sa katawan. You're just inducing your immune or your body to produce antibodies to fight the infection bago sila ma-overwhelm ng infection. So meron silang, so ito yung animal studies, tapos eventually mag-try sila from animals to humans. Tignan mo kung safe. Kung safe sila, then you can have phase 1. So yun yung phase 1 na a group of people na pwedeng gawin to humans. Tapos from phase 2, mga about 60 to 100, 200 people. Ito yung phase 3, thousands na, para malaman natin na kung ano yung talagang magiging epekto ng vaccine, kung magkakaroon ba siya ng effectivity to prevent you from getting the virus, and also to prevent you from getting severe illness the long run. Yun nga yung endpoint nila eh. How do you prevent severe disease and hospitalization sa death, magiging part ng discussion yun sa mga vaccines, kasi not all vaccines have response in terms of vaccine efficiency preventing the disease, but how much of it can prevent serious disease, eventually. Tapos may tinatawag silang biological license authorization na sinasubmit sa FDA. So this is actually coursed through the Food and Drug Administration dito sa Amerika bago yung vaccine. Kung naggagawa sila sa Pilipinas, i-address din yan sa Food and Drug Administration there. Yun nakuha nung I've been listening to Eric Domingo, yung FDA, na sinasabi niya to WHO na allow na at least 50% and above is acceptable. Actually, galing sa FDA.
Ng Malacanang, maaaring gamitin ang Compassion Special Permit na ipinagkaloob ng Food and Drug Administration sa 10,000 doses ng Sinopharm vaccine.
Okay. So pagka nagkaroon na ng authorization ito, yung vaccine is not only decided by the people who makes it. They have an independent group of researchers, scientists who are looking into it without any bias. Then they're able to analyze the data and make recommendations. So yun na yung mga panel of experts na walang kinalaman sa drug companies o walang kinalaman sa gobyerno, na dapat sila yung magde-decide kung ito yung safe. Tapos dito sa Amerika, meron silang tinatawag na part ng CDC, FDA, yung Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices. So yun na yung isang panel. So tatlo yan, yung mga panel of experts na nagko-conduct ng study, tapos yung tinatawag na experts, tapos yung tinatawag na ng advisory committee, tapos finally sa FDA. Yung nagde-decide, may pharmacist, meron silang chemist, saka iba-ibang tao na related dun sa ng vaccine. Tapos ito, pag binigay na yung vaccine, ito na yung phase 4. Aaralin pa rin nila eventually what the effect of the vaccine will be to the whole population. So it's an ongoing study. Tapos yung tinatawag nilang ordinarily yung emergency use authorization, dahil in the time of pandemic, dahil wala nang panahon na talagang gawin yung trial step by step, ay kailangan nila mag-decide for the common good, na makakatulong. So ang mga komentaryo nila, bakit parang napakabilis naman ng vaccine? I was been listening to Dr. Anthony Fauci at saka yung mga vaccine experts. Din kasi when you come up with a vaccine, you go to these different trials, research, saka preclinical, yung animal studies, saka ito. Nangyari na to sa COVID vaccine even way February when we got the blueprint. Nagsimula lang sila pag-isip yung mga scientists, saka yung tinatawag nilang vaccine expert, vaccinologists, at saka yung mga who are into research in vaccine. So since July and all, when they started doing the trial up to October, they were really careful in all the steps. At saka, ang naging nangyari nito, in order for the vaccine to be effective, ay marami kang subjects na na tignan mo kung talagang magiging epektibo. Kagaya nung kunyari yung pneumococcal vaccine. Pag nabigay ka ng pneumonia vaccine, ilan bang may pneumonia na titignan mo na magkaka-prevent nito? It will take them a while to observe. Ito, in the middle of pandemic, thousands of people are getting sick. Kaya napabilis yung analysis ng vaccine. But they waited for another couple of months. Yung mga earlier on, like yung Pfizer, they have around 44,000 subjects. They give the placebo at saka yung vaccine itself. Tapos after checking early on kung ano yung appropriate dose. So, kasama yun sa preclinical trial, how much dose you have to give na safe. And then after 1 week sa Pfizer, nung second shot after 21 days, they have to come up with a number. I think for Pfizer, there were about more than 100 plus people who got positive. So they have to unmask the trial para malaman nila kung sino yung positive na ito. Sila ba yung nagka-vaccine o sila yung hindi o yung placebo. And they found out that's how they got to the 95%. I think 11 out of 100 to 200 plus people have become positive. So yun na yung vaccine efficacy na tinatawag nila. Ganon din sa Moderna, about 30,000 nakasama sa trial. Tapos in-uncover nila or in-unlock nila yung trial itself after having so much COVID cases. Tapos nakita nila na mas marami pa rin yung mga nagka-COVID who didn't get the vaccine. Kaya they come up with the 94.5% na ano. Ganon din sa mga eventual vaccine. So let's go with them one by one. So the vaccine has different platform. Yung Moderna sa Pfizer, they made use of the messenger RNA part ng virus. Tapos nilagay nila sa isang lipid bilayer. Tapos yun yung binigay nila. Napunta sa cytoplasm, hindi siya pupunta sa mismong nucleus. And then was able to incite your own cell to produce proteins that will be your spike proteins para yung body ay mag-develop ng antibody against that. Eventually, antibody which is high enough to prevent disease. So yung efficacy rate niya, sinasabi 95%. Yung mga nagiging problema lang into the storage ng Pfizer at saka ng Moderna. Yung Oxford AstraZeneca ay adenovirus from a chimpanzee na ini-inject kasama nung messenger nung part ng viral particle na hindi live na binibigay nila sa mga patients. Tapos ito yung nagiging nila. So they've done a trial in Brazil at saka sa UK which may mga efficacy rate usually differs from the nature of the population. Saka yung mga include sa trial, kaya tine-check nila kung may makasama mga matatanda dun sa trial nila. At saka yung timing. So yung 21 days o 28 days, it's just a platform na nakita nila. Nakita nila sa AstraZeneca na yung they respond well by accident, half a dose yung first dose. Then afterwards, 2 or even 4 weeks or even 12 weeks later, mas mataas pa yung efficacy rate niya. So as we go along with the different vaccines, maraming mga nangyayari sa ganun. Ito yung sa Sputnik vaccine, finally nag-release sila ng kanilang data na it's 92%. And sometimes when you're in public health, you have to think through ilang dose o kaya that you need any way how to give it to the people if they can't bring it to the poor rural areas na wala silang refrigeration doon. So parating na tayo dun sa sa discussion natin sa Sinovac at saka Sinopharm. Ito pa yung ibang mga vaccine na kami. As of today, maybe tomorrow they'll come up with Johnson and Johnson, which is a single shot at saka hindi ka lang refrigeration. It's a game changer din na madagdag sa vaccine. Sana maka-avail din tayo dyan in the future. So ito yung comparison na tinatawag natin, interval 21 days, 28 days. Kinukwento ko yung second dose later on with the UK trial ng AstraZeneca, tumaas siya ng 90%. Yung kanyang adverse reactions, usually local, yung soreness sa arm, yung kami ni Lola after the vaccine, mabigat lang yung aming arm, but after 1 or 2 days nawala na siya. Tapos usually yung mga nagkakaroon problema, anaphylaxis, ay may mga history na dati. At saka very minor, walang na-hospitalize sa mga 8,000 na binaccinate namin so far. So ito na yung Sinovac kasi yun ang big natin ngayon. So I had a chance to listen for a while, kaya at least nakarinig ako ng mga things going on sa Pilipinas. Pakinggan ko si Eric Domingo at saka yung I think Deputy Department of Health, saka yung isang aking mentor dati, si Dr. Bravo sa with the vaccine program ng So yung Sinovac ang kanyang from China ay yung trial, kaya sila nag-trial sa ibang bansa kasi wala na silang ganong kaso sa China. So dinala nila sa Brazil, tinry nila sa healthcare workers. Initially sabi nila around 70+%, tapos ni-analyze nila yung data. Sila naman yung mild disease naging 50%. So tapos sa Turkey, nakita nila doon ay yung vaccine efficacy is 95%. Sa Indonesia, around 65%. Ang naging issue sa yung nagkaroon ng even not only from the Philippines, but I think all over the world. I've heard even yung President of France na konti yung data na release nila. These are all based from press release. Kasi for the experts to decide what to do, you have to have the data available. So nakita natin na yung may limitation siya in terms of, kaya sinabi nila na hindi gagamitin sa healthcare workers at gagamitin mo sa military. Saka eventually those 18 and 59 years old. Kaya from the current study na data nila, hindi siya indicated sa mga 60 and above, sa mga seniors ng Sinovac. Tapos kasi nakita nila limited yung efficacy niya. Tapos yung Sinopharm naman ay yun ang second vaccine na inauthorize sa China. Actually, nauna pa siya ginamit na nila nung July, saka eventually sa military. Ang tinry niya sa United Arab Emirates around 79% at ginamit sa Bahrain. Tapos pursue na ang Argentina at saka Peru na gagamitin. So there's a 2-shot vaccine. Yung kanyang recently there were 2 more vaccines approved here in China. Yung CanSino Biologics, na kagaya ng parang AstraZeneca and J vaccine. one shot lang siya. So they've done studies in Pakistan, Mexico, Chile, Argentina, and Russia. Meron siyang 65.28% effective 28 days after dose given. And you don't need to store it for regular refrigeration. Tapos yung isa ay Sinopharm subsidiary ay live, the virus that was killed, and 72.5%. So 2 shots. So ang aking tinanong ko yung aking I have a close friend here who's one of our infectious disease na Christian siya, nagpipray kami, and we I think even we started the pandemic, sabi niya, Chris, I think this is what the Lord has called us to do. And we uplifted each other up, in time. And he's trained from Harvard, and I told him about the decision in the Philippines. And sabi niya, we have to trust the experts, for one. I think we have a lot of really unbiased hoping in the Philippines na mga scientists na nakaupo, na nagde-decide. And then nagkakaroon ng trust issue, tungkol doon. But we need the data. Kailangan talagang maging transparent ng China sa mga studies nila. Hindi lang tayong humingi nun, kundi the rest of the world. I think they have to find a ways. The only good thing that they did also from the start, not only the good thing, but at least one good thing they did, is they released the blueprint of the virus to the rest of the world. Kaya nagkaroon tayo nitong vaccine development. At saka, kung limited and above yung natin, yung mga napapakinggan ko, kagaya sila Dr. Fauci, at saka yung isang vaccinologist, at saka isa pang scientist dito, we get the vaccine that was offered to us often. If it's 50% and above, it's better than no vaccine at all. And even the Sinovac, from all the readings that I have from the social network and everything, it doesn't seem like it's really have a lot of significant side effects. Even though mababa siya sa Brazil in 50%, it has been able to really, the Brazilian trial found that the vaccine was 83% effective against disease that requires medical treatment and 100% effective against hospitalization. So they're able to prevent severe cases and death in the same trial. And that was from Sinovac. So at the end, even though hindi siya nakapag-prevent ng transmissibility or getting the disease, but it does prevent from having serious disease eventually. So it's a race against time's situation. I've been giving some advice to some of my classmates who in PGH, I think they were being planned to give the Pfizer vaccine. So far it hasn't come. And when I was sitting and I was listening to my friend Tony Leachon that I trained in PGH before, who's in the panel that's our consulting. When they find out that they might be getting a vaccine or a different vaccine that has a better chance of, the response rate from 75% to 95%. So, but either way, I'm praying that it will come in time. The Lord will provide a vaccine for the Philippines. I was really disheartened because I'm here talking to you and we're getting the vaccine here. We're getting the benefits of it so far. Hopefully it will reach to all of you also over there. So doon na lang ako mag-i-end. So I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much po, Dr. Christopher, for sharing your knowledge and insights received from the Lord and learned from the field. Okay lang po ba na mag-share ako ng screen? Kasi ayun, prepare ko lang po yung mga questions raised po kanina.
Okay. So nasusundan ko rin siya. Teka muna, umpisan natin sa taas.
Okay.
Thank you sa inyo lahat. Thank you din. So yung question kay Vern about the cancer, yun. My questions are, would vaccines immune us from new COVID variants in the future? Praying the other is, yeah. So that's a good question, you know. Yung sa Israel, hinihintay pa nila na, minsan dito kasi medyo strict yung FDA to be able to roll it out. And although we've done the emergency use authorization, if overwhelmingly, you know, it cannot wait like 1,000 trials or randomized controlled study para dun. So far the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine does present from the variants. Yung Johnson and Johnson was tried in South Africa, where there's 97% South African strains there. The effectivity rate is around 60%, you know. So, and it was able to prevent severe disease also as well, saka death and hospitalization. So kaya yung 50%, eventually it will even out kasi at the end it will prevent, you know, if a lot people are vaccinated, what will happen, it prevents the disease from staying in your system and be able to pass it on to other people. Kaya yung tinatawag nilang herd immunity, if we're able to attain, we don't know, each disease has a different herd immunity levels. Nakita nila, estimate dito sa COVID, at least 70%, 85% be vaccinated, then we'll be able to really go back to, you know, normalcy. Kaya lang yung may mga vaccine, you know, hesitancy, you know, each one has different. So hopefully nasagot ko yung question na yun. As we speak, Moderna is coming out with the vaccine for the South African variant. I'm tracking it down in the United States. So for the last 1 week, una started in South Carolina, then Maryland, 9 states ngayon, 14 na sila. Wala pa kami dito sa New Mexico. We have 4 UK variants. But Soto, it's hard to detect it because you have to have what you call genomic testing, you know, frequently. They do that more often sa UK, kaya yun ang ano nila. So I'm hoping, tapos may bago ngayon, Pfizer, I think Moderna is planning to do that, to give a third dose of the shot to see if it's safe enough to be able to boost antibodies, you know, or neutralizing antibodies in order to prevent transmission of the disease. Kasi ang importante talaga, if you stop the disease from spreading, then eventually you stop its tracks, you know. Ang mga issues lang sa vaccine, does it prevent from you transmitting it to other people or asymptomatic carrier? Hindi nila kasama dun sa trial. Although sa Moderna, nakita nila yun because they were swabbing all the people who had it, na they were able to cut down the asymptomatic transmission by around 60%. Yung variant has an increased transmissibility of 56%. Dati sabi nila hindi nagko-cause ng serious disease. It can still cause serious disease. So the vaccine that we have are pretty good enough, but we don't have a big data yet how much of it is really protective or not.
Wow. Thank you po, Dr. Tupeng, for that for that info. Okay. Next question po ay galing din kay Ate Eve naman po. Yan.
So ito ang yung mga pinatawag silang phylogenetic na mga virus, you know, pinag-aaralan na pala to so many years. Actually, may na-isolate na silang COVID noon pa eh. Tapos nakita nila sa China, yung sa bats at saka may tinatawag silang pangolin na so from animals na pass on to humans, yun ang kumalat. Pero hindi yung tinatawag nilang yung the virus mutates almost every 2 weeks, you know, or so. So yung things that I've heard or learned. In fact, I don't know if what we're getting in the United States is the same variant that they had in China or in other rest of the world. So nakita niyo yun, no progress. Kaya yung mga theory na laboratory, ano siya, ay mukhang konti lang ang truth, from it. Kasi ang natural adaptability ng virus ito is to find its a host, to be able to spread and adapt to it. So kaya nagra-ramp up siya. So in fact, one of the scientists here in New Mexico just published a report, pinakita sa New York Times, na meron kaming New Mexico at sa Louisiana variant na ngayon ng vaccine. So we don't know. Kaya ang ano nito, implication nito, talaga dapat mabakunahan yung mga tao. Kasi pag nabakunahan yung mga tao, you stop the spread of the disease and you develop antibodies that you're hoping will be able to also decrease the transmission of the variants too as well on its track. But the amount of protection we don't know because this is still ongoing. So next, why WHO have not submitted the virus origin almost a year now and was able to produce a vaccine without telling? I think in fact, there was a group of scientists who went to China to investigate. So we're waiting for that report to come.
Okay po. Yung iba pong questions natin, Dr. Topeng, ay nandito po sa group chat. So, transfer ko na lang po
sige.
muna. But
Sige,
if you can
I'm
entertain na
going
po.
to them one by one.
Okay po.
Okay. So may pinatala sa akin si Ate Miriam ng mga questions early on. So I will try to answer them. Okay. So your first question, age 73 years old, is afraid that's not willing to be vaccinated, that this might trigger his psoriasis. Is this possible? We don't know. I have a lot of patients that have connective tissue disease, and we just watch them. When you get the vaccine, you're observed for at least 15 minutes. Those who have a lot of risk factors, we end up watching them for at least 30 minutes. And there's the what you call immediate response, yung tawag nilang IgE or immediate immunoglobulin E, immediate adverse or side effects. Usually nangyayari yun within 15 minutes to 30 minutes, kaya inobservan sila. Kung mangyari yun, we're ready. Merong tinatawag nila epinephrine o kaya meron kang Benadryl kung hindi naman serious. Tapos inobserbahan. Yung mga serious ones, yung tinatawag ng anaphylaxis, cause ng affectation ng breathing, gano'n. Kaya yung vaccination area namin malapit din sa hospital. So far, nothing major na, nagtagal yung pasyente para doon. So sometimes may mga kagaya ng other vaccines, it can make you can induce your immune response to react to it, because it's an antigen, it's a foreign body. So it can also induce some of your rashes to come out, for some reason. I have one Filipina, we vaccinated, nagkaroon siya ng tagulabay. So we just observed and sabi ko, bantayan mo lang, basta hindi lang kumalat. And they respond to Benadryl or lotion. So far, about 1 to 2 days nawala. When I was asking about, Dr. Fauci's setup for those specific questions, remember when they did the emergency use authorization, it took them 2 months. So it's already a certain amount of time had passed already, and they didn't find any significant, effects. Yung sitwasyon sa ng 38-year-old na OB-GYN na taga Miami na bumagsak yung platelet niya, parang hindi siya, walang causal relationship with the vaccine itself. Kasi compared dun sa mga trial na ginawa, nakita nyo naman, I have extra slides na pinakita dun na kunyari mga 11 out of 1 million, So napakababa, 0.2 percent or yung effects 11 with anaphylaxis, but usually meron na silang dati pang history. Kaya yun ang binabantayan namin. Ang isang nakita ko yung mga component, you study the components of the vaccine. Yung isang component ng vaccine, kagaya ng Moderna at sa Pfizer, ewan ko kung meron kayong tinatawag na polyethylene glycol. Ang tawag sa amin doon, Miralax, yung powder na nilalagay para to prevent constipation. Yung isang pasyente namin, meron siyang side effects doon. So nung nagka-vaccine siya, nagkaroon siya ng mga rashes at saka nagkaroon siya ng palpitation dahil meron siyang allergies sa mismong effects nung component ng vaccine. Next question, yun tungkol sa cancer. So yung sa vaccine trial, may kasama dun sa CDC na since yung trial ay didn't include a lot of cancer patients or I think sa Moderna meron silang include na mga may HIV. At saka yung mga elderlies, we don't know if they're going to mount as much antibodies, But antibody or no antibody, better to have antibodies than none at all, So this is, remember the risk factors that I shared with you, napakataas yung mga matatanda at saka yung mga may alta presyon, may mga diabetes, saka may mga cardiovascular disease, chronic lung disease, may mga cancer. So prone sila para mag-develop ng tinatawag severe or critical illness. Next, 65-year-old prone to allergy. So yun, check nyo na lang kung ano specific kayo allergies, tignan yung component ng vaccine kung meron kayong allergy doon. If not, as in any allergies, kagaya ng mga flu shot, kung na-tolerate nyo, I don't think there's any problems for it. May 85-year-old na may heart condition. Actually, you don't need any clearance, I have vaccinated the patient who's 90 years old and done very well. Meron kaming nanay-nanayan dito who's celebrating 100 years old next week, and in the nursing home. Kasi dito, tinatawag sila, meron silang phase 1, 1A, dito nung priority ng vaccination, healthcare workers. So natapos na namin yun. Tapos kasama sa phase 1 yung mga nursing home patients and nursing home staff. So natapos na namin yun. So yung mga pasyente namin na sa nursing homes na vaccinate na sila lahat, Tapos ngayon phase 1B na kami, 75 years old and above. Tapos meron 16, napaka wide range, 16, together with all the risk underlying illness na minention ko sa inyo. May mga asthma, at saka may mga diabetes, obese. So, but remember, yung vaccine like Pfizer, we are able to give it for 16 years old and above. Moderna, 18 years old and above. So wala pa silang vaccine for children and pregnant. Kasi ganito pala yung patakaran nila for vaccine development. Before we give it to the children and the pregnants, because they are one of the also vulnerable population, that you don't want them to get really major side effects from it. Tinatry mo nila sa adults. And then right now they're coming up with some trials na yun ng mga nagka-COVID o kaya yung na-vaccinate tapos nagkaroon ng COVID ay buntis. So we're gathering all those data kung ano yung effects sa kanilang baby. So, but we're vaccinating, we're offering the vaccine for our healthcare workers who are pregnant, who has high chance of being exposed to the virus kasi part ng work nila yun. So we offer them the vaccine. but it's still decision making for the patient and also discussion with their OB-GYN and their doctors. And then discuss ko na yung mga seniors, yung cardiovascular disease, kasama rin yung may hypertension or ganun. So mataas yung risk nila. So I think natapos ko na TM yung mga ibang questions. So
Thank you.
Okay, sige po. Thank you po, Dr. Topeng. Ito pa po,
so
may
I
mga
covered
question.
the other questions, ha?
Okay, sige po. Ito po, ilipat ko na siya sa PowerPoint.
Okay, sige. Para makita ng iba rin. O yan, yun na, pwede na po bata vaccine, hindi pa. As mentioned.
Hindi pa daw
Next.
po, no? Okay.
Magkakapula.
Hindi kailangan, but you can still ask, your doctors. Ayan, next question.
Ayan, sige po. Nag-mute lang po ako. Ayan.
Yan. Hindi ba dami naman dyan? Baka nandyan pa sa ilalim.
So yun yung Jared saka Raquel, good question, Dahil nga yung sa trial na ginawa nila sa Brazil among healthcare workers, dati 74% efficacy, tapos the review data, yung pala 50.4% yung vaccine efficacy. Yung healthcare workers na bakunahan ng tunay at saka yung health workers na bakuna na hindi tunay, placebo. Nakita nila na hindi na prevent yung yung by around 50%.
Siya na yung doktor niya.
Pero yung nga nung in-expand nila yung data, it's still able to prevent 82% of the severe mild to moderate disease. Tapos 100% na prevent nila yung hospitalization and death. So yun ang magiging I haven't talked to my colleagues at PGH yet kasi they are still, I think, waiting for Pfizer. Hopefully it will come in time. Parang race against the clock dahil frontliners sila. Yung mga nagka-COVID, they're supposed to be protected for at least 90 days. But there's no contraindication for those who have COVID na pwede silang mabakunahan. In fact, yung iba, kahit na may antibody sila for this COVID, ay tumakit pa rin yung antibody nila even after the first dose. So we are able to vaccinate even after 10 days or 2 weeks na after na quarantine sila out from, kasi they can get the vaccine as long as they wear their mask. We are trying to protect the vaccinator. Yung nababaccinate, baka pasama naman siya ng COVID, habang binabakunahan ka. Kaya yun lang yung intent lang dun. Okay. Ma-interesting itong mga questions dito Tingnan ko Okay.
Okay.
Next. Okay lang po ba mag-vaccine ng Sinovac o din? So hindi pwede kasi they're different platforms. In fact, Pfizer and Moderna, they have the same mRNA, but we don't give them mixed, So kung Pfizer ka lang after 21 days, but Moderna after 28 days. But there's been some leeway now that you can get the vaccine before 42 days for the Pfizer and the Moderna.
Sorry, Dr.
So yun na yun.
Topeng.
Herd immunity, ibig
Herd
sabihin either
immunity.
natural
Yeah.
o kaya through vaccine. Kaya lang hindi magandang model yung ma-infect lahat para magkaroon ng antibody kasi napaka-deadly itong disease na ito. So we either do it by inducing antibody production by vaccine. So iba-iba yung rate, nabasa ko yung polio dapat 95%, yung measles 90%. So it all depends on the type of disease saka nature uh, ng vaccine. So they're predicting dito sa COVID around at least 70 to 85% is to be vaccinated to develop herd immunity. Yan.
Um,
At least marami kayong question, maganda, buti. Oh, ilang oras pa ba tayo?
Dr. Topeng,
Ah.
pwedeng magtanong.
Yan, sige
Okay.
po. Let's entertain questions na po on mic. Ayan.
Yeah, pwede po.
Sige po.
Sige. Sino
Ah,
sino sila?
Ako po, Rolly po, Rolly
Okay,
Manuel.
sige. Okay.
Doc, ang Pilipino sigurista.
Okay.
Marami na tayong negative experiences
Mm.
sa vaccines even before.
Mm.
Maraming ang kaso before pa. So ngayon, ang dami lumalabas, even doctors sasabi na ang COVID vaccine ay experimental pa rin. Kasi hindi yan na-test sa mga hayop. And ang tunay na vaccine talaga ay it will take mga 3 to 4 years bago talaga masabing effective. Ito talagang emergency, kaya mabilisan. Kaya many believe na experimental talaga to. Now, si Annie, magkaklase kayo ni Annie, doktor kayo, talagang nag-aantay siya. Pero we are hearing sa social media, maraming doubters talaga, lalo sa Pilipinas. Even doctors sa Pilipinas ay nagki-question sa mga bagay na yan. Ako, nagka-COVID ako last year. 8 days ako sa hospital. I was given remdesivir and yung matinding antibiotics talaga. Pero I recovered and praise God. Wala akong, even nung nasa hospital ako, wala akong lagnat, nakakalasa ako, nakakaamoy. All my vital signs are okay. Pero yung x-ray ko, tsaka yung aking CT scan sa chest, ay both lungs are punong-puno ng pneumonia. That's tinest agad ako. After 3 days, positive ako. Pero moderate lang. So, naka-recover ako after 8 days and I was confined, quarantine for another 14 days. But now, I'm recovering. Hindi pa fully recovered. May mga times na hihilo pa ako. Sabi nga ni Dr. Ibarreta, Pastor Rolly, mga 90 days nga, sabi mo rin 90 days ang immunity mo. Kaya hindi guaranteed, dapat protected ka pa rin. So my question is, gusto kong magpabakuna pero I have some doubts. Dahil nga sa mga nadidinig ko sa social media. Kailangan ko ba talaga? And what is the best na dapat kong i-take? Honestly, wala akong trust sa Sinovac dahil maraming kasinungalingan na ang ginawa ng mga Chinese to protect themselves. So, yan yung mga lumalabas eh. So, what is your best recommendation for me?
So, yung gaya sinabi ko dun sa aking talk, talaga it has to do a lot of trust, dun sa experts. Kasi iba yung sitwasyon sa Amerika at saka iba sa Pilipinas.
Yes.
In fact, I'm just learning part of this now, for some of those, which is very unfortunate. Yun ang mahirap, to regain the trust. Kasama yan sa public health.
Yeah.
You have to restore the public trust about the government and the people who are supposed to protect their citizenry, about this. So yung mga looking back nangyari sa Pfizer at saka even though ang feeling mo mabilis, sa usual, gaya ng sinabi ko na dire situation, had made it to a point na kaya nga yung tawag sa emergency use authorization tawag dun na there's more to gain than losing from what it is. But they have put a lot of different safeguards. That's my, with my observation and with the things that we've known so far about the vaccine development, at least for those two, Pfizer and Moderna. Kasi Pfizer was through BioNTech, through Germany, and also Pfizer here. And Moderna is actually to NIH. Saka yung source ng information kung saan nanggagaling, um, yung NIH sa director, Dr. Francis Collins, he's a believer. Siya ang boss ni Fauci. And I've heard him talk, and I've heard him even have time to have time with N.T. Wright, one of our modern day, and really blessing to some of us that had followed his direction in trying to lead the modern or the present day believers. Na balance of science and spirituality it's very important.
Yeah.
Yun yung papasok dun yung trust ng mga taong nagbibigay sa atin ng information, saka nagbibigay sa atin ng datos, kung they are trustworthy. So yun, hindi mo mawawala yun eh. And then it comes to a point na magiging individual decision na lang sa inyo. So mahirap yung ako magsasabi sa anong decision kasi wala ako sa sitwasyon nyo ngayon, in that sense. Kaya because there's so but at the end yung mga sila Fauci, sila yung mga NIH director at saka yung head sa sa different mga scientific leaders dito, you get the vaccine that you are offered. But that's sa situation siguro dahil sa sitwasyon dito, right? Diyan hindi ko alam yung buong sitwasyon. In fact, kagaya ng sabi ko, hindi lang pala ako nagtatanong tungkol sa Sinovac. Pati pala yung presidente ng France, pati yung people from consultants ng WHO nagtatanong sila, yung experts. In fact, I'm going to so yun Pastor Rolly, mahirap sagutin, hanggang sa ma-satisfy yung to a point. Pero yung need to have a vaccine, kailangan ka magpa-vaccine some way somehow. Kasi I think that's the way for us moving forward. Kasi talagang inano ko na si Fauci, sabi niya, this will roll into 2022. Kaya we have to be ready dahil I don't think we'll be able to approximate some form of normalcy until this virus is really under control. And the only way to control that is be vaccinated and continue wearing our masks and keeping our distance and washing our hands, avoiding indoor gatherings, in order that we won't be overwhelmed by the variants. That's how we will be able to prevent ourselves from getting the variant. And eventually, hopefully, the vaccine that we're getting will somehow cover the variants too. Hanggang sa they will just die a natural death. Kasi wala na silang madalandingan na pwede silang mag-spread para mabuhay. Yung virus, nag-adapt siya nag-hanap siya ng kanyang host para mag-spread. So pag wala siyang malandingan na host, magda-die down na lang siya. Kaya yun importante. Kaya ang Taiwan is very, very successful dahil meron silang tinatawag na screening saka contact tracing. Pag test ka ng test, pag meron kang positive, i-isolate mo na siya para hindi kumalat. Nagawa nila yun. With the technology, yung mga meron sila sa iPhone, sa phone nila na tina-track down ko kung nasa sila. So they were able to contain the virus right away. Walang hintayan. So kaya lang mahirap kasi meron tayong logistics problem, saka there's a problem with leadership, saka yung mandates. Saka kahit dito sa Amerika, nako, may isa akong kaibigan, pumunta siya sa Arizona, nakalagay doon, people should wear mask. Pagpunta sa restaurant, yung mga tao walang mask, you know. So umatras na lang siya. Hotspot ng Arizona. So, you know, it's everywhere. So kaya kaya you know, kasamang yung nga balancing spirituality at saka yung science. So kaya tuloy-tuloy na magdadasal tayo na bigyan tayo ng ano. But if you have any doubts, punta ka sa NIH, you know, National Institute of Health. That's where I trust. Even to the time na nagkakaroon ng problema yung CDC, it was very tense in the hospital because we were making decisions and in the morning, iba yung decision, tapos nagbago na in the afternoon. Ganon katindi. Kaya sinisigawan ako ng mga kapwa kong doktor na ano ba yung pinaggagawa nyo, tanga ka pala, hindi pala ganyan yung dapat. So ano lang, I was just advocating for our staff and everything. So yung mga doktor na yun nagalit sa akin, ngayon ay kaibigan ko na.
Isa pa, Doc, yung contact tracing in Taiwan is nagwo-work na mukhang mahirap sa atin kasi ang mga Pilipino hindi aamin na may lagnat sila. Hindi aamin na na-expose sila. Kaya puro naglalay Kaya ang hirap ng contact tracing dito kasi nga puro
Meron din
lies.
iba, yung kaklase ko sa Hong Kong. Meron siyang ganun din. Kaya kumalat yung COVID sa Hong Kong yung mga nagta-travel punta ng ang sa China kasi pag nagiging mark ka ng government so kaya iba socio-cultural, socio-political, geopolitical. So pero daw ka sa ibang probinsya, yung isang kaibigan namin dito, I think buwi siya ng Samar o Leyte. Talagang quarantine siya. Bago siya makalanding sa Samar. Tapos tapos si Lola, sabi niya sa Quezon Province, sa Palok, talagang stricto sila. So each one is, advocating for their own needs. Kaya maraming mga social and economic, political, aspect. Kaya ito na yung talagang dapat mag-iira lang Holy Spirit sa atin, yung discernment. Saka, but, mahirap, Lalo sa amin dito, when we had it on, we have, earlier on yung surge namin was through our homeless population. 80% of our homeless population got the COVID. We opened our doors to the hospital, inadmit namin sila lahat. One time, nag-admit kami ng mga 23 people. And we isolated them. Tapos nung bago sila umalis, nilagay namin sila sa hotel. So yung community, nag-step up. So, hindi to the city, hindi to the government, pero kinalabog namin yung mga doktor at saka talagang we found a way. Habang sa may nagkawang gawa, binuksan yung hotel niya. Sige, pakay ko. Tapos yung state, sabi step in, sige, babayaran namin. So yung aming homeless population, happy pa sila. Meron sila. Tapos yung iba na homeless na ito, sabi nila, ayoko nga dito, gusto ko sa labas. So talagang, you can never tell, but it was, I think I often tell this to the community. I think what kept us really is the prayers of the people and also the intentions. Even from the yung mga hindi may tinatawag mga hindi Kristohanon, but they're very, very well-meaning people, very good people. They've been praying for us too as well. So hanggang ngayon, So it takes a community to do that eh. Kaya yun talagang malaking challenge sa sabi ko nga no nakikinig ako earlier on sa Pilipinas nagkakaroon yung Department of Health sabi niya, oh, we're doing fine. We have cases around 25 yata pa yun. Yung isa sa Davao, yung isa sa Leyte, isa sa Samar. Okay lang sila. Sabi ko, naku. Kumalat na yun. Kumalat na yun po. Mahirap i-control.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Dr. Topeng.
May nagtanong pa po pala.
Question,
Oh.
Joy.
Oh.
Oh, yan,
Yeah.
sige kayo muna.
Oh. So, yung edad, di ba sabi natin, nung tumataas yung case fatality rate pag ikaw may edad. Pag 80, dagdag ng 14%. Pag 65 ba yun to 75, or so ay dagdag ng 7% or 8% tapos 4%. So, yeah, so lalo na kahit na 63 tapos may alta presyon, dagdag na yun ng risk. O kaya yung mga may mataas yung blood sugar o kaya may mga kapansanan. So, yeah, actually the vaccine is for all. In order to reach that herd immunity for all. Kaya nga nagkakaroon sila ng study ngayon kasi kasama dapat yung mga bata. So they're doing it now less than 16 years old. I think they started with 12 and up, and I think 6-year-old and up will follow for the trials that I've heard.
Thank you po. Ayan. Thank you po, Dr. Topeng. By the way, ayan, we have question
May
po
question
from
ako.
Tita Joy. Yes po?
Oo.
Joy.
Doc, given the current vaccines, meron ba siyang parang duration on its effectiveness?
Yeah.
Kasi di ba may
So-
ibang vaccine, one shot lang, the whole of the...
Right.
Ito, meron ba?
Mhm. So I can only say what we have and what I've read, at least for Pfizer and Moderna. When they just gave this vaccine starting for us before Christmas, and they have the trial for those who had it in July and now part of the trial. So they're looking and monitoring them. So far, some people have said if they were good for 2 months, it might last for the whole year. But with the variant, we don't know if it's protective enough. So we might end up having a booster, even for those with one shot, because the one shot, it does, it's the amount of protection that you can get, and it might wane in time. That's why you might need another sort of like a booster for it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sige po. Ayan. Since it's already 11:45, siguro last two questions pa po kung meron pa.
Meron pa para kay Doc.
Okay.
Pwede magtanong, Doc Topeng.
Sige, sir.
Halimbawa po ang mga empleyado nakaranas noong the night before ng sinisipon, inuubo at slight fever, dapat ba ang protocol ay dumiretso na kaagad siya sa testing at wag mo na mag-report sa work at hintayin ang result? Kung negative, saka lang siya pwedeng mag-report. Kasi pagka ganun, parang mauubos yung sick leave ng empleyado at saka magastos. So, kung ang babantayan lang ng basis ng wag mo nang pumasok ay yung sipo, ubo at saka yung slight fever. Kasi ito yung health checklist na sinusundan ng marami sa Pilipinas. Yun po, Doc.
Yeah, so good question. Kagaya nung pinakita ko sa iyo, yun, di ba, yung preclinical illness na even bago pa sila magka-symptoms ay infectious na sila. So, titingnan mo yun economics, di ba? So, pinapasok mo siya, pero ma-infect yung kasama niya sa trabaho, mas marami magkakasakit. So, yun ang yun ang ina-account natin . So, talagang yun Yun yung pero importante talaga ma-test kaagad. So yun ang ano eh. Yun ang so ang policy namin kahit sa hospital o kahit sa outside, pag nagkaroon silang symptoms, umuwi na sila, wag na silang pumasok. Tapos magpa-test na sila. Meron kaming tinatawag na rapid test pag symptomatic. You will know right away, but you have to be symptomatic within the first 5 days to be able to pick up the piece of the virus. And then the ones that we use is the tinatawag nilang diagnostic talaga is the reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction, yung PCR, RT-PCR. So yun yung confirmatory test mismo. That will come out in 2 to 3 days test. So pag lumabas na yun, negative ka, then hopefully makabalik na sa trabaho. Now remember, during this time of the year, ewan ko dito sa Amerika, ano yan eh, flu season ngayon, saka RSV. So pwede rin flu. Saka yung coronavirus, actually, meron si coronavirus 2, 1, common cold is caused by coronavirus eh. So pwede ka rin mag-common colds, you know, para doon. Iba naman, allergies. Pero kailangan talagang tinatawag doon abundance of caution. You know, abundance of caution kasi it's hard to, alam ko it's hard, you know, to quantify hours, you know, the time off. But remember, this disease can also be deadly, especially for those of high risk, you know. Kagaya kunyari, employee mo, tapos, for instance, pinayagan mo siya, tapos nawaan niya yung isang employee na high risk. Yung employee yung pwedeng mag-recover, pero yung high risk baka hindi mag-recover. So, napakabigat nung ano na yun, yung kapalit, you know, para dun. Yeah, tapos dadalhin pa sa pamilya. Alam mo, nakakalungkot. Meron dito, 6 sa pamilya niya, wala na. Yung gano'n, talagang wipe out. Kaya siguro kami naging focus ng Department of Health kasi yung mga Native Americans, ang taas ng risk nila for diabetes, hypertension, obesity, nakakaawa, you know. Walang tubig sila sa kanilang reservation. Kaya sinama ko nga sa aking slides yung mga picture sa Gallup, yung mga pero napakaganda ng nature. So siguro yun din ang na tinawag ako ng Panginoon para mag-serve dito. Although miss ko rin ang Pilipinas. Lahat tayo merong meron tayong calling, you know. So Cesar, nasagot ko ba yung mo?
Yes, Doc. Salamat. Salamat.
Sige.
May question po ako.
Okay.
Lucille. Kasi po, di ba pag ang incubation po ng virus ay 3 to 5 days po ba? Tama po ba?
2 to 14 days.
2 to 14 days. Okay.
Right.
Kasi po, hindi ko lang alam kung gaano ka-efficient yun na, di ba, pag nagpapa-antigen test tayo, tapos biglang magta-travel tayo. So, it takes mga 2 to 3 days pa before mag-infect yung virus. So, yun yung isa sa mga tanong ko. Parang, di ba, parang, okay, you need to have an antigen test and then dapat within the 3 days, lumipad ka na. Yun po. Hindi ko alam kung gaano ka-efficient
So up to
yun.
the immediate time that you are, and as long as wala kang symptoms, yun ang issue dun eh. Kasi you'll never know when the virus will, actually yung antigen test mo hindi para sa
there's no assurance.
Yes. So ang ano mo lang
wala
doon, you have to come up with
assurance.
meron kang protocol that you follow.
Yeah.
If you expose, and sometimes it all depends how close you with the person, about were you with that person without the mask on for 15 minutes or cumulatively 15 minutes. Tapos at saka iba-iba yung infection rate, you know, transmission rate kung nakamask ka at saka siya hindi, o siya nakamask tapos ikaw hindi. So tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung safety precautions sa'yo kahit na test negative ka.
Yeah, and in the same way, like ako din, wala rin akong assurance na totally negative ako, 'di ba? Baka mamaya meron na pala.
Nagka-harbor ka ng virus.
Oo.
Kahit na yung mga nababakunahan, meron kaming binakunahan tapos the following day, you know, nag-fever siya at saka so nagki-carry na pala siya ng virus all the while. So iba yun. You know? So pag nabakunahan ka, it doesn't mean that it will affect your testing. No. For a while, carrier ka pala all along. Tapos nagkaroon ka ng disease. Remember, pre-symptomatic ka earlier on. Tapos after about yung 3 to 5 days, yun yung usual manifestation ng disease, you know, na binabantay mo na vulnerable ka. But it doesn't mean na hindi magkakabalik ka doon, you know. In fact, yung mga ina-isolate namin, kina-quarantine namin, after 10 days, pag no fever sila for 24 hours, o kaya nag-improve na yung symptoms sila from earlier, kunyari yung ubo nila nag-improve, o kaya after 10 days nag-test positive ka, we're able to release them to go back to work. Pero naka-mask pa rin sila, social distancing pa rin sila, at saka ano. Now, for immunocompromised, they carry the virus longer. So, ina-isolate namin sila bago sila papasukin. Instead of 10 days, 20 days. And then remember, this virus can still be positive staying with you. Sometimes even 3 months. Magkakaroon ka rin ng reinfection. Yung idea for reinfection, you can get another COVID after you get past 3 months, you know. So and usually a different strain might come in. So it doesn't mean kaya yun lumalabas na pwede kang magpabakuna hopefully after 3 months. Usually pag wala ganong vaccine, pag may vaccine, pwede ka magpabakuna even before the 3 months. Okay.
So Doc, Moderna po yung vaccine nyo?
Pfizer.
Pfizer.
Pero iba sa community, Moderna. Yung hindi anak namin, Moderna ang nakuha niya.
Okay, pero yung effect po sa inyo, hindi kayo nag-chills?
Wala.
Hindi kayo muntik nag... okay.
Mas hindi pa nga yung flu shot ko eh. Saka yung, meron kaming shingles vaccine din dito eh. Na binibigay, you know, 2 months apart, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We will continue to pray for you.
Thank you. Yeah. Kayo rin, kasi alam ko, mga nasa front line din kayo, in a way, essential workers kayo din.
Yeah.
Yeah, tuloy lang ngayon.
Pastor Renz, Bok.
Yes po, Pastor Jun.
Gusto ko lang ng opinion nito, okay? Hello?
Yes. Yeah.
Bok. Okay, siguro dito sa Pilipinas, kasi meron ako nababasa mga comment dito na may mga lugar na zero, no? Ang comment ko lang dyan, dahil hindi naman effective yung testing dito sa Pilipinas, kaya hindi mo rin hindi guarantee yun, no? Na wala. In fact, nung magsimula ang pandemic dito sa Pilipinas, bago pa nag-lockdown kunyari sa Manila, ang dami na nag-uwian sa mga probinsya. Kaya kung tutuusin, andun talaga yung potential ng pagkalat. Ang iniisip ko lang, Bok, no? Sa nabasa ko kasi, yung observation dun sa ilang country sa Africa, yung pag-aaral na ginawa ng konti dun sa Japan, na sa mga third world countries, hindi para bang hindi ganun kaano yung epekto ng sakit. Pinakita mo kanina kasi yung 81%, palagay ko pagdating dito sa Pilipinas baka mas mataas eh, no? Mas mataas. Kaya kahit na sinasabi mo zero, in effect, andyan dyan yung virus, kaya lang yung mga Pilipino asymptomatic, Tapos kung nahahawa man, hindi rin ganoon katindi ang epekto. Why am I saying this? Kasi marami akong mga kaibigan na nagmi-minister sa mga squatters community, no? Ang comment nga nila ang deadly lamang ang pandemic para doon sa mga mayayaman. Pero yung mga nasa squatter, parang kinakaya lang ng katawan ng mga mahihirap. So I don't know kung anong comment mo doon kasi dalawa lang yung observation nila. Sabi nila, ang mahihirap kasi dahil lakad ng lakad, no? I can say this, yung mga tinutulungan namin noon na mga street dwellers, naglalakad yun mga 14 kilometers per day para mga lakad eh. Kaya kung lakad ka ng lakad, mas malakas yung lungs mo, no? Nakakayanan kunyari kung may mga ano ka, no? Yun yung observation nila sa Africa. Tapos dito daw sa third world countries, katulad ng Pilipinas, mukhang yung anti-TB program nakakapaglaban din against the coronavirus. So I don't know. So far wala pa naman akong nababasang further studies about that. Pero what do you say?
Maraming truth dyan, Bok, with some other disease entities. In fact, may tinatawag tayong traveler's diarrhea. Ibig sabihin, nalala mo yung kaibigan natin mga puti pag bumibisita sa Pilipinas, na-expose sa, they're not used to the tinatawag na amoeba juice. Kakaroon reaction sila sa tiyan, pero matindi. So I think it has to be, parang may tinatawag silang almost like epigenetic, In fact, I haven't had a chance to really dig into kasi may certain race or certain group of people that have some relative sort of like protection. Para may built-in sila, fighting against the virus than other people. And as you're exposed to a lot of antigens, as you know, you can develop your own innate immunity, mas resilient. So, may katotohanan yan, Bok. Kailangan lang ng science or study, reporting. In fact, that's true in other parts of the world, sa Africa. Saka parang in a way may protection ng Panginoon din sa kanila. Meron tinatawag na disparity of health. Obvious yun. Everywhere you go. And yet, they've survived, all those times. Even for us, in our rural areas, how people have fought against, mas maraming ang amazement mo. We've been exposed to a lot of viruses, bacteria, and how we're able to survive still at this time. I think that's what you call, natural. I don't know. May iba mga di ba, mga Darwinian, mga theory of natural selection, survival of the fetus. I think part of that is God's providence too, sa protection niya sa kanyang mga tao. Yeah, but that demands a lot of siguro Bok, dahil nga with the midst of the pandemic, yun nga ang emphasis nila sa daming ng tao na mamatay. Yun ang emphasis nila ngayon. But it will be a good, talk. In fact, dito may mga talk about, even now, about the disparity. Maraming namamatay na blacks. And yet, konti lang na nakaka-receive ng vaccine, sa ibang parts, So, tapos, pero yung iba ay dahil kahit sila may hirap ay nagsusurvive, So I think there's a lot of lesson that can be learned, and we're learning every day from this virus. It's taught us to be humble, taught us to be even more be understanding, and love conquers all. Yun lang masasabi ko sa. I can see it in my own eyes here, in our own community, and people just embrace the challenge and they step up. Even our staff in the hospital, and even the small community that we have. So and there's no fear in love.
Yes, amen. Amen.
Yes,
Salamat.
love conquers all fear.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tupeng.
Thank
You are a
Thank
blessing to
Saka
us.
ipadala nyo lang ibang questions kay Ate Miriam,
Okay po.
kay
Yes
Pastor
po.
Jun. I'll try my best. Saka, maybe, in time after, also, if you need to do this again, kasi tuloy-tuloy ito
Yes,
So if
ang
you find
daming
the need of
variants.
doing this, maybe, I can spare some time also to do that, for my brothers and sisters, and I'll try as much as we can to help.
Ayan. Sige po. Wow, thank you very
Picture.
much for
Picture
that
tayo.
love and sharing your knowledge, Dr. Tupeng. Tunay kang pagpapala sa amin. Okay?
Maraming
Muli,
salamat din.
sige po. Before we end po, let's sing this song as a song of response and our prayer as well. At after this, Elder Cesar will close us.
Come, I bid you see. You walk with me through fire and heal all my disease. I trust in you. I trust in you. And I believe you're my healer. I believe you are all I need. When I believe, oh, I believe you're my portion. I believe you're more than enough for me. Jesus, you're all my healer. You hold my every moment. You calm my raging sea. You walk with me through fire. Heal all my disease. And I trust in, oh, I trust in you, Lord. I trust in you. And I believe you're my healer. I believe you are all
tayo ay manalangin. Ama namin sa langit, kami ay nagpapasalamat na binigyan mo si Dr. Tupeng ng pagkakataon na mahasa ang kanyang kaalaman sa larangan ng infectious medicine. At ngayon, Panginoon, ay napakalaking tulong na naunawaan namin ang lawak at ang hangganan ng sakit na COVID. Panginoon, itinataas namin sa iyo si Dr. Topeng. Siya ay kumakatawan sa mga medical frontliners na ngayon ay nakasabak at hinaharap ang hamon ng pagpapagaling sa mga nagkakasakit. Panginoon, patuloy mo pong ingatan ang aming mga medical frontliners at patuloy mo pong silang alalayan sa gitna ng kanilang napaka-sensitibo na kalagayan. At dalangin namin na gagamitin mo ang mga Kristiyanong, mga medical frontliners upang patuloy na maibahagi hindi lamang sa mga pasyente kundi sa kapwa nila mga medical frontliners ang pagtitiwala sa iyong anak na si Jesus, na makita sa kanila ang ibang-iba, ang kakaibang tapang at kakaibang pananaw kung paano harapin itong problema ng pandemya. Panginoon, nagpapasalamat din kami sa natutuhan namin ngayon na kailangan pala na ingatan namin ang aming katawan, ang templo ng banal na Espiritu. Dahil kapag pala wala kaming diabetes, kung kami pala ay walang high blood, kung kami pala ay malusog, ay nababawasan po pala ang morbidity, pagkakataon na kami ay gumaling kung sakaling kami ay tamaan ng COVID. At nagpapasalamat din kami na ngayon ay nilinaw sa amin na 80% pala ay gagaling kusa. Merong mga 5% na matindi ang magiging sakit, at sa datos po sa aming bansa, 2% po na nagkakasakit ang namamatay, Panginoon. Kaya't patuloy mong ilagay sa aming kamalayan na hindi namin hawak ang aming mga buhay. At patuloy mong ilagay sa aming kamalayan, Panginoon, ang patuloy na magtiwala sa iyo. At lagi mo pong ipaalala sa amin na meron kaming responsibilidad.
Yan na,
Ito
Chris.
ay sundin ang mga patakaran pangkulusugan na itinuturo ng pamahalaan. At hindi lamang kami ingatan ang aming sarili, kundi kung may pagkakataon na makita namin sa paligid mga hindi sumusunod, ay sa makakaya namin na magandang paraan ay aming bigyan ng reminder yung mga tao na nakakalimot magsuot ng mask at ng face shield, Panginoon, o kaya ay nagkukumpulan. Panginoon, salamat din kung paanong lagi naming maalala yung ipinatanong ni John the Baptist kay Jesus. At ang tanong sa kanya ay, ikaw ba, Jesus, ang darating at ang tunay na dumating na? At ang naging tugon mo ay, nung ikaw ay dumating, ang mga bulag ay nakakakita, ang mga pilay ay nakakalakad, ang mga may ketong ay gumagaling, kahit na ang patay ay nabubuhay. Kaya't wala pala kaming dapat na ipag-alinlanganan, dahil kung gugustuhin mo ay makakayanan mong gawin ang lahat ng ito. At salamat din po, pinaalala mo sa amin yung sinabi ni Meshach, Shadrach at Abednego, nakakayanin ng kanilang Diyos na buhay na sila ay iligtas. At kung sakaling hindi ito gagawin ng Panginoon dahil sa kanyang kapasyahan, ay patuloy silang magpupuri sa iyo. Lord, gamitin mo ang pagkakataong ito upang kami mga mananampalataya ay magkaroon ng bagong ministry sa aming paligid, na kami ay yung maging daluyan ng iyong pagmamahal. Salamat po sa paalala ni Dr. Topeng na maaari kami makapag-minister in love at patuloy na nagtitiwala sa iyo. Lord, gamitin mo po ang pagkakataong ito upang lalo kaming mapalapit sa iyo. Alisin mo po ang takot at lagi mong buksan ang pagkakataon na kami ay maging kamay at paa ng iyong pagmamahal doon sa mga aming kapaligiran. Salamat po sa ngalan ni Jesus. Amen.
Yeah.